On this episode, we discuss home equity and we talk about all the different ways that your home could be working for you. Stay tuned.
Greg Parker, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Um, I've made some notes. I know you have as well. What are,
Always making notes, always
right.
making notes.
What are we discussing today?
Today's topic is the power of home equity.
Power of home equity to support multi-generational needs.
Exactly.
Because we are talking about smart money and we're talking about the sandwich generation, and there's so many little nuances that I'm not sure if we covered before, but we're covering them now.
Yeah, yeah. Before we jump in, what are topics are you hearing? Because the last week or two, I've had a lot of conversations with people about being in the sandwich generation.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody seems to be in this point now where it is a topic of interest. Either that or I'm hanging around a certain group of people,
A
but even the
demographic.
younger people that I was not expecting, even they are having issues with mom and dad's health, with dealing with a property. And I don't know, maybe it's because we're getting turning the corner towards winter and people are starting to think, post summer now people are thinking longer term, like what's the next 6 months going to bring and how are we going to manage. And I just found it interesting that this was the topic we were going to discuss this week. And then the last 3 or 4 days, this has been a topic that I've been finding myself discussing with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing the same?
I'm seeing a little bit of that, but a lot more of how parents are going to help their younger children get into the market.
Mm-hmm.
And there's opportunities out there. We know that. We can see it on the MLS that there's a lot of product out there in different property types
Yeah.
that if parents could utilize leverage of their own, they can help their adult children get into the market.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I don't think we're remaining at a stage where family members can help. I think we're now tiptoeing into that space where it must be part of the plan. Because
Right.
I don't see how, between the salaries that young people are going to get and the gap between that and saving and then getting into the purchase position
Hmm.
without a little bit of help. And I think they could eventually do it, but I find that time gap, it just gets more and more expensive. The waiting is expensive.
Right. So, how long realistically do you think that someone would have to plan to get into this market? Because I was talking with another couple who are thinking about getting into the market, and I've got a couple of, wow, we're going to wait until 2027.
I don't I I'm going to try and be politically correct. I've never understood that way of thinking. I could understand it in terms of, like, if you have a regimented savings plan and you're saying today I'm at a certain level that just doesn't work, but I know that, let's just say for instance, you're saving X amount per month, and by that stage you will have jumped in the property ladder, or sorry, in
Hmm.
the career ladder, so you know that your pay, there will be a bump up in your pay, there will be a new
Right.
opportunity, there will be something that allows you to qualify higher.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're getting a lump sum, or you're saving a vast amount of money that is going to change how you live from today into the next year and a half, 2 years.
Right.
Or you need to liquidate something that would make that easier. In those situations I can kind of understand, but if it's just a matter of sort of blind speculation, then I'm not totally sure I understand. And I think I think it would be cruel to say, you know, you guys are wrong and you don't know what you're talking about, because I think we've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's also time when you need to listen to elders, professional advice, do some digging, and even push your own comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because the other question I would have is, well, between now and 2027, what is it that you are doing? What's the magic bullet that you have that makes your scheme and your situation and your plan better than what
Mm-hmm.
other people are going through?
Yeah.
So if you're continuing to rent, I would say, well, you know, you're not necessarily any better. If you are just unsure of something, then you need to broach those fears and concerns today. Because even if you said today, like as we're speaking here this weekend, go home and have a discussion Thanksgiving weekend and say, I'm thinking about buying. You and I both know the purchase decision is still at least 6 months away,
Yes.
and that's being generous, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the search, organizing the funding, getting used to the idea of being permanent somewhere versus living at home or renting,
Right.
you need to do a lot of digging. And then you need to be able to find enough product to satisfy you. So you need to be able to go out and have showings, and you need to lose a few properties. Only then will you actually have a real appreciation for it. That
Mm-hmm.
process takes time,
Yeah.
right? So again, I think, you know, it's a plan. If you're really not ready, you're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
But don't sit on the sidelines, giving up opportunity where right now, and you can speak to this, the competition is low. The ability to get into a property is much easier than it could be if markets turn, if confidence comes back, if, you know, more people get off the sidelines and get into the game. You're going to
Yeah.
face competition. Your purchasing power into the future may not be as strong as it is now, and it most likely will be weaker. You will be probably in a position that's less favorable than today.
Right. And not to mention the interest rates being lowered, if they are at all, in the next, what, 3 announcements that we have two coming up, and hopefully it will go down another quarter point. I'm hoping for half, but you know, I'm optimistic that way. There are a lot of factors to consider when purchasing, and if you can, like, I'm not trying to say this is how it should be and all of those things, but if you can, explore that possibility. If you're in a position, explore the possibility. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and I've heard not a lot, but I have heard people over the years say, I don't want to purchase because I don't want to have a mortgage. I can't have a mortgage. I just don't want to be owing someone.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about that as I was getting ready for today's little discussion. I think people need to be aware of what that actually means. You are owing someone. So if you are renting, if you're still living at home with your parents, no problem. Considering we're talking about sandwich generation, you could be very helpful to the people you're living with. So
Right.
that I see that as an upside.
Hmm.
But if you're going out and renting, make no mistake, you are paying a mortgage. Every
Just
payment that
not,
you're making of rent is a mortgage
yeah.
payment. That is exactly what the landlord is taking your rent money to pay, is
Hmm.
his mortgage.
Yeah.
So before you, you know, give yourself the mental comfort of, at least I don't have this over my head, I would suggest just let it sink in, talk to some people, get the knowledge, get up to speed on both sides before you make a hard decision.
Yeah.
Because I think it becomes a very easy slippery slope to find yourself on. And what we hope to talk about today is the values of home ownership and how it is beneficial, the power of home equity.
Right. And great segue, by the way. So, yeah, let's get into that, shall we?
Yes. Let's.
So, we know the situations are sort of like, okay, not even sort of like, so you've got your elderly parents, you've got your younger children, and a spouse, let's say, partner.
Yeah.
Um, Partner and you have a home with your children, and you've had this home for, let's say, 15 years, because your children are teenagers, let's say.
Yeah.
Your parents are in a situation where they're getting older, they can't look after the lawn, they've got all of this house, they only use the first floor, the main floor, because they can't make it up the stairs anymore.
Yeah.
Who's mowing the lawn? Who's cleaning the house? Who's cooking the dinners and lunches and stuff like that? They are effectively retired.
Yeah.
So, situation like that, what would you suggest that they tackle first? The parents' home, or do they decide that they're going to sell the parents' home? Do they decide they're going to use that money to build up their current house and maybe put an in-law suite in the basement, maybe put a coach house in the backyard if there is room for that, that sort of thing, to have the parents closer so that they don't have to be traveling throughout Toronto, because we all know what Toronto traffic is like, and nobody wants to go through that. So, your suggestions?
My suggestion? All the above. And the reason I say that is because there is no right or wrong answer. I think it must all start with like a family meeting.
Family meeting.
Because the dynamic and the demographics will change from family to family.
Mm-hmm.
So in some situations, one scenario makes sense or a solution makes sense. In another family, solution B, C, D makes sense. I think it all is sensible. And it's just like property. Like there's no wrong property. It's just the wrong property for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that fit needs to make sense for the family. So the other thing that I think a lot of people are unaware of, and I was unaware of as well until I was in that position, is that when you go from our position of, being below the age of being a senior, still working, generating income, to retirement age, living at home, getting older, starting to have the physical sort of issues, health concerns, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Grandkids are, in the picture. That is not one straight shot. There are different elements in there that need to be considered.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who has, let's say, elderly parents, you can make suggestions and you can provide some solutions to alleviate stress, a lack of resources like time, money, even the fear of injury. That I think that's something that a lot of people in our age group are concerned about, is like every time the phone rings and it's mom or dad, you're like, uh-oh, right? Like this is outside of their normal hour. Why are they calling me at 10:30 at night? What happened?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So all of these things are different sort of hot buttons or triggers for the sandwich generation. Now, the question you had is, would you retrofit your home? Would you build another suite? All these different things. I think all of those are on the table. They're all viable options, but you should work the whole plan as a whole family.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the point I'm trying to make is you can't think of it as like one decision for one person.
Right.
We're past that now. We're actually working as three generations at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So every move you make has an impact for the generation above you and the generation below you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I would look at it. How is this beneficial to the group?
Mm-hmm.
That's my starting point. long-winded, but that's my starting point.
No, and I absolutely agree. It's a decision that needs to be made as a family. I believe that if you have a sibling or two, you know, loop them in.
Yeah.
Have that family meeting. Hey, mom and dad are getting older. What do we want to do about it? How do we handle it? How do we move forward from this? It can't be one person alone making that decision. Plus, it involves families because
Mm.
even if it's my siblings that I'm speaking to, they have children as well. So it involves them as well. So it's one of those, I think it depends on a lot on the family. Have a family meeting,
Yeah.
right? I think there are ways that you can move forward from this, and it doesn't have to be burdensome on one person alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And seek professional opinions as
Oh,
well, because I
absolutely.
think one of the challenges, not one of the challenges, one of the big challenges that I see is that again with the multiple generations comes a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents will always look at their kids as kids. So even if you as a grown adult in as a sandwich generation member, however we want to describe it, your parents will not take you 100% seriously when you're presenting something of that magnitude. They may still look at you as their child, and then
Right.
you don't tell me when to leave, you don't tell me when it's unsafe, you don't tell me not to go on the roof and clean the gutter. Like these are serious concerns that people have, so you
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to have like a strategy for how to communicate properly across all of those generations, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that may involve the family doctor, the lawyer, the accountant, the financial planner, to
Right.
actually have a proper discussion about all the things that are available, but also all of the challenges and the risks and everything else that come with just maintaining status quo,
Right.
right? So if you stay the same, yes, you can live in your home, but your home will deteriorate. You will deteriorate. The quality of living won't be the best. And I was just outside and a neighbor walked by. It's probably, I don't know, 5 or 10 years younger than I am, but going through the same situation where, again, it's not her family, but it's her spouse's side of the family,
Mm-hmm.
and but she is very eager to make sure everyone is taken care of and all the rest of it. She's very diligent in terms of finding the health care and all the other things.
Mm-hmm.
But on the spouse's side, his siblings are a mixed bag. So some are, responsible and pick up the slack and help out. And others are just like, not my problem. I can't do it. I'm busy. So
Mm-hmm.
without that real discussion, without laying the groundwork, without having that information and those anxieties aired properly in a mature
Right.
way, in a clear, professional way, you're just carrying the problem forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? So no matter what, if you said, okay, we're going to retrofit mom and dad's house, or we'll have a multi-generational living sort of arrangement, then it
Mm-hmm.
goes back to, okay, so which one of us is taking mom and dad,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're not clear on how all this is going to work, you're just carrying that problem, kicking that can down the road, and I think it could create another problem. So
Mm-hmm.
being very open with that plan is important.
I agree, absolutely. You said it would involve lawyers, family doctors, financial planners. Um, who else can we think of?
Whoever, it's basically anybody that is sort of like in a professional services kind of position that your parents or the grandparents actually would listen to and respect. It's about getting
Mm-hmm.
that message across.
Mm-hmm.
Even the finances. you have to involve a professional to talk about mom and dad's finances, right?
Right.
You still need mom and dad's permission to sort of help them with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only other way around is if a power of attorney is in place and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a very good exercise to have before you need to actually have it, and I think
Right.
that's the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to talk money with your kids, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
just because you want them to focus on other things. You know, you're a parent first, but again, going back to what we're going to talk about today, is the power of home equity. And that is really the bank. So, although you have retirement savings and a pension and all these different things, the greatest amount of wealth that most Canadians have is their home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there is a situation where the vast majority of seniors are house rich, cash poor.
Right.
So again, it's a system that, how can I put this? It creates a situation where the parents, the real value of their hard work is only realized after the parents are gone.
Right.
And I think that is, it opens itself up to a lot of situations of, financial abuse and even sort of neglect in
Mm-hmm.
ways where people are, struggling in their own situation, running out of time, running out of resources, still trying to deal with mom and dad, and don't have the ability to enjoy the moments, those last moments that they have with their parents
Right.
because of this lack of resources. So if you can turn it on its head and understand what really is at play, what is available to you in terms of a resource, I think you can shift the tides a bit so you can actually enjoy your parents in their old age. Your parents can enjoy their old age. The family can benefit and be closer together and actually enjoy quality time versus rushing over last minute to deal with, a pending emergency, or always going over and having to clean and, make sure the house is safe and
Yeah.
stocking it with food and different things that
Mm-hmm.
just aren't being dealt with. You can create a situation where you can have, a positive environment that's again gonna pay dividends to two generations down,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I think is the key for most grandparents. That's their real goal. They've helped
Right.
you as a kid, but what they really want is to hopefully help the grandkids.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree with that. So, what are we? I mean, I have a few things here that you can do in advance of these issues becoming so detrimental that you need to drop everything and do something right away. Like tap into your home equity for strategic support. So, you've got equity in your home. You know that they have equity in their home. Um, Talk to your siblings. Talk to your siblings' partners. Like, everybody get together and figure out how much of each. Let's say it's money that you need. How much of each person going to put in order to retrofit your parents' home, or retrofit one of your siblings' homes, or send I don't know, send them to a senior's home, because I find that seniors' homes from now, from when I was growing up, are a lot different, and it was not that long ago because I am not that old. Um, when someone had said to me in when I was in my 20s, "Oh, we go visit our grandparents at a home," it was what I was thinking in my 20-year-old mind, that the home was, you know, 2-3 hours away from here, and it was just like a big complex, and they had a whole bunch of seniors in one room, right? It's not like that anymore. I mean, I see the commercials on TV, and I always make fun with my husband that we're going to that one in Whitby. I like it. They drink wine every day. They are laughing all the time. You know, somebody's cooking for them. That's the one I want to go to. Again, I'm making light of a situation that probably is not very, there's no levity in it, but it's very different now than it used to be, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, I can't speak to things 30 years ago because I wasn't paying attention, obviously. But going back to what you said, I think, when you touched on home equity and you
Mm-hmm.
spoke about the siblings, we are proponents of home equity, of
Mm-hmm.
being an owner. So
Yes.
all of those people have equity. So where I would challenge you is I would actually start with the grandparents, the seniors,
Mm-hmm.
and their equity. Their equity is bigger, and you will have to liquidate that home at some point. So tapping into that equity is a great idea,
Mm-hmm.
and using that for different means. And so there's certain things that can be done and certain things that can't be done. So a HELOC, I don't know if people know exactly what that is, but it's a home equity line of credit.
Right.
So basically, it means that your house, let's say your house is currently valued at $1 million. You have 600,000 in equity, so you still owe 400 on it. That 600,000 is basically available to negotiate with a bank or a lender and say, I would like to put some of this equity as security towards me taking some money and
Mm-hmm.
putting that to work. And so they will, work out a calculation of how much of that equity could be used towards the home equity line of credit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with a home equity line of credit, my understanding is that you still need to provide a source of income. So you need to be working in order to sort of validate that. So if
Mm-hmm.
something goes sideways, you can put the money back. With seniors who are retired, obviously that's not the case unless you're going to, take mom and dad and send them and they can be, greeters at Walmart. But I think that's cruel. Don't do
Right.
that. The other option is reverse mortgages. So this is for
Yes.
people who do not show an income.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what it means is, let's say the same situation or a similar situation, because most seniors by then obviously have paid off their mortgage, they own it outright. They bought for 100,000. Now that property is worth $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So there's $900,000 worth of equity in there somewhere. And that's assuming everything else is off the table. We're not discussing, grandpa just bought a boat 2 years ago and he's still got to pay that out. Whatever extras, we'll leave that
Right.
off the table. The reverse mortgage basically means that they can do the exact same thing with the lender and say, I have $900,000 in equity. They will work out a calculation of how much of that equity someone will sort of front and front load and pay
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for an interest, right? The
Yes.
interest typically is higher than a home equity line of credit, but it does give you the ability. So most seniors would say, I'm never leaving this house. I'm going to stay right here. The only way you're getting me out of here is in a pine box.
Time
Like,
box. Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's ridiculous. So again, that $900,000 is not working for the grandparent. It's not working for anybody. It's just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So what they could do is take some of that money and retrofit the house so that they could live there safely.
Mm-hmm.
They could take some of that equity and turn it into cash that they can then hire PSWs and caregivers,
Yeah.
and do things like that. They can use some of that equity and then now gift to the children or the grandchildren, assist with education or a down payment or the first car so they can get to, their first job or whatever the case is. There are those options available to people. And I think that really is where the quote unquote money is, right? The reverse mortgage, because they don't have an income and they're actually not making payments on that reverse mortgage, the payment is due when the house is sold at the end.
Right.
And so they charge higher interest rates because obviously there's no incremental payments along the way, and obviously they have to wait longer to get their money back.
Yeah, the reverse mortgage is a very good idea for seniors who are in that position to be able to afford it, right? I actually was going to bring that up. You stole my thunder, but that's okay.
Oh, go ahead, add to it.
Well, no, there's nothing more to say. You've said everything that we need to know about reverse mortgages. I'm best to speak to a lender, someone that is in that position, because we don't know everything.
Yeah, and there's only certain mortgage specialists that are capable of working in the reverse mortgage space. So you if you are looking for that, message us. We do have some people that we do work with, but you do need to connect with a specialist that understands that product. It is not like a traditional mortgage.
Right.
So, you will need that specialist, and you will need a lawyer to review and set everything up for you. But once you've done that, it moves very smoothly. The money comes through. And again, it's like having that bank account available. And each year that you've, held on to the money, the amount that comes off at the final sale of the house increases a little bit each year as you're, owing more interest. But it is a good way to, like I said, improve the quality of life for, the seniors. It's a good way of utilizing your home equity. So as a senior who is, living in a home that they paid off a long time ago, again, the frustration of looking in the bank account and thinking, I don't have enough to help my family. And I think a lot of older people feel like they're a burden, and they're making really painful choices. Painful in our perspective, meaning they're making decisions between, cutting coupons to be able to afford, what we consider, a nutritious meal and something that's good for them and something that's going to sustain them, because, CPP and old age security and whatever, it's not giving them quite enough.
Yeah.
Right. And they're concerned, and they also feel like, and property taxes, if you're in the city of Toronto, like they're not cheap. And so those things I think are eating into the affordability for these people. But on paper, if you were an accountant, a forensic accountant, and looked at all of these people across Toronto, that group of seniors, if they're homeowners, are in such an amazing financial position that it is a shame that they're forced to live this way at the tail end of their life.
Right.
They have wealth beyond belief. And the question is, how can they access it to, like you said, enjoy, the last 10, 15 years of their life in a way that, makes memories and takes the burden off of other people so that everybody can enjoy it. It shouldn't be a time where, you have this drudgery, this pain, this deepness of pain, like, oh, I've got to go deal with my parents again. Like, it shouldn't be that way. And, yeah. Let me ask you a question, though.
No.
Because with great power comes
great responsibility.
Perfect. So the question I had was, and this just came to me as I was making some notes earlier, what shouldn't you do with your home equity? Because I was, just playing around and looking, and if you go on like Reddit and you listen to people, armchair professionals. People don't know what they're talking about. And they're basically saying, oh, you could get a HELOC or a reverse mortgage, and then you know what you can do with the money? And some of the comments were honestly kind of frightening.
What are we talking here? Buying a
Well,
sports car or
well, investing in things that are like
not
we
proven
we
strategies?
yeah,
Yes.
we believe real estate is an essential tool
Mm-hmm.
for building wealth, but also to put a
Yes.
roof over your head.
Right.
And again, if done properly, it's very, very safe and foolproof for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, and requires very little effort or expertise. Some of the things I'm seeing online are, oh, well, get a line of credit, pull out 200,000 and invest in, and then it's crypto or foreign exchange or these different
NVIDIA.
schemes and
Yeah.
things that you know you know it just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just I was I was kind of shocked when I read some of these things, and even the responses of the audience, almost just eating it up, thinking, wow, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate, I don't think anyways, is a get rich quick scheme.
No, it's a
But
buy and hold.
yeah. And so to go back to the equity scenario we gave earlier, you have a house, you've built up, say 50% or 60% of the value of that home now has equity.
Mm-hmm.
To pull that equity out and gamble on something where you are not a specialist,
Mm-hmm.
where you are relying on luck and timing and all sorts of other things, that's I don't know. I just think that's crazy. It just doesn't
I
make sense to me.
Yeah, that is crazy. And I think that unless you are a professional in that market, and even professionals lose money in the stock market
Yeah.
or, things like that. Unless you are like what you're doing, let's say that you're that guy Michael in The Big Short. Um, I think Christian, what's his name? Christian something or another played the guy that saw this coming, so he shorted the stock, the MBS, mortgage-backed securities. So unless you're that person, I really wouldn't put that type of money into. I mean, there's always ways that you can deal with, or you can decide that you're going to invest a little bit here and a little bit there, because that is also a way of building wealth. And I've been very interested in that sort of thing in the last, I'm going to say 10 years, 15 years of that I've been around. And it's something that I keep going back to. But 15 years ago, if I had put money into NVIDIA stock or into Tesla stock, I would have been that much farther ahead. For me, it has to be a belief in something. I believe in the power of real estate in order for me to be able to grow my equity and my portfolio, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the risk.
No. Well, like my father always said, he never gambled. And I mean, he could barely play crazy eights. Like he never did that stuff. And asking him why, it's like, bro, I work too hard.
Yeah.
I don't work twice. I don't work for my money twice. And it stuck with me as a kid. I'm like, oh yeah. So he
That's a
goes
good
to
one.
work all day, makes
Yeah.
his money, goes out and, hangs out with the buddies, plays cards, loses all the paycheck, and then has to
Yeah.
go and work. I was like, that does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the same way. I don't gamble. It's not my vibe.
Right.
But like something that's common sense and clear, I will do that every day.
Mm-hmm.
And real estate is that thing. And I think also too is that people need to understand that money, again, it has great power, but it has great responsibility.
Yeah.
So if you were to lose half the equity of your home, again, when you go to renegotiate your mortgage or whatever the case is, the bank looks at that and says, well, now you owe, instead of, having $600,000 of equity, now you only have 300. Well, that
Mm-hmm.
extra 300 you've lost in the market, gambling on Nvidia stocks or whatever, you need to dump that back into the mortgage and pay. So
Mm-hmm.
your mortgage payment has just made a massive leap. So
Mm-hmm.
it's either you're going to go ask the boss for a huge raise, or you're going to sell the house, or you're going to get some sketchy, B lender,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to give you some short term money until you can figure it out. And then they're going to, come looking for you every 3, 6 months. Where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? It is a slippery slope. I wouldn't recommend it, because what you're really talking about is immediate needs versus long term goals.
Right.
And what our channel is about is the long term goals.
Playing the long game.
Yep.
Alrighty. I
I think
think
that was good.
I think that was it. Any
So, how would you
questions?
sum it up? I would say that, there are options, lots of really good options for people.
Options.
But you got to listen to pros, you got to follow the process, you got to call us and ask us questions.
Yeah. You got to
There are very
discuss
good
with your
ways.
family, have a family meeting, um, get everybody in on it, even those teenage children, because eventually they're going to be the ones looking after you,
Yeah,
which is
but
scary.
also,
It's,
also,
it's scary.
it's giving them ownership of their own sort of destiny, because they
Hmm.
will have to, like, once they graduate, they will need to start their life some way, somehow. So, working as a group and understanding, little Johnny, if you ever need anything, come to grandma, grandpa, let's talk. If you need a car, we've got one in the garage. It's not the
Hmm.
best, but, figure things out and work together. Because I
Hmm.
think that is the only way that people are going to move forward, especially in certain communities, because it's very hard to, establish credit and get good jobs and save money. Like,
Yeah.
saving is the hardest part. If you can take a massive chunk of that burden off the table,
Hmm.
your kids get an immediate start.
Yeah.
And they can, like, think about being the bank. We look at banks as this anomaly, this big thing that's, scary. If grandma and grandpa have a house and they've got $900,000 of equity, make your grandparents the bank.
Hmm.
Like, it's better to say, Grandma, can I borrow $50,000 to start my small business, than to go to the bank or go to an investor who's then gonna, when you do get off the ground, takes
Yeah.
all your equity and
Yeah.
you're beholden to someone. There are other ways of doing the same things with money that exists right in your sphere,
Hmm.
right under our noses.
Right.
And, the successful people have tapped into that. They've understood that a long time ago, generations ago, they understood
Yes.
this. So
Yes.
as other communities and other people come, to Toronto, we bring the immigrant mentality of hard work, hard work, hard work.
Hmm.
But you also need to have that mentality of, let's change the trajectory
Yeah.
of the generations by using what's out
Exactly.
there. So,
Exactly. Because I don't know about you, our family came, it was all about hard work. It's
yeah.
always been about hard work. And, I wish we had these discussions within our family when we were younger, as well as school. School never taught us how to use equity and finances and credit cards and those sort of things. Like, I understand that they're learning that now because they've recognized that there is a need.
Yeah.
But had I learned it back then, what?
We wouldn't be having this discussion right now.
Right? Right? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyways. Alrighty,
Good
Greg.
talk. Good talk.
Yep, absolutely. We are out of time.
Another one for the books.
Yay. Cheers.
Cheers.